Hello and welcome to Pickleball Therapy, the podcast dedicated to your pickleball improvement. Hope you're having a great week. This last weekend, I got to play at the PPA tournament in Orlando. It was a fascinating place to go to because I come from tennis, and I got to play at the USTA National Campus in Lake Nona. It's a great facility, and there's a PPA tournament called the Hertz National Championship. My friend Leslie reached out and needed somebody to fill in for her in mixed doubles, and I said, let's do it. So I got to play senior pro mixed doubles on Saturday, and I had a lot of fun. And it got me to thinking. I said, I haven't really shared my journey too much in this podcast or in writing. And so I said, I'm going to share a little bit of my journey with you so that you can see how I've gotten to where I've gotten and from where I started. And there's some lessons in that you can take away and apply to your own journey and to your own development as a pickleball player. And then in the riff, I'm going to share with you what happened during the final match, the gold medal match, when we were up 10-5-2, I believe it was, and did not convert that. And a few minutes later, we were down 10-11. And I'll fill in the rest during the riff. So let's go ahead and get some pickleball therapy. Do you want 2023 to be your best pickleball year yet, but you're not sure how to go about it? Then join us for our pickleball system class starting in January 2023. The pickleball system is not a DVD box set. It is a class that is overseen by CJ Johnson and myself, Tony Roy, to help you accomplish your pickleball objectives. To make sure you're notified when registration for our next class opens, join our email list. You'll get our weekly emails full of great knowledge and be in the know. Hope to see you in class. CJ and I like to refer to it as pickleball journeys. We all have our own pickleball journeys. You have yours, we have ours, I have mine, CJ has hers, I should say. It's very particular to you as a person. And, along that journey, there are times that we're happy with pickleball, times that we're maybe challenged by pickleball or not feeling great about pickleball. There's growth, there's setbacks, there's all those sorts of things that happen in any kind of relationship, any kind of a thing that we do. Pickleball is no different. And so what I wanted to do was I was thinking about the tournament this weekend. Me and Leslie were able to have a fairly clean slate that day. We lost one game on our way to the gold medal match, and then won the gold medal match. So pretty good day of pickleball for us. And I wanted to share a little bit about my journey, right? How do I go from learning to play pickleball for the first time or picking up a pickleball paddle for the first time back in 2015 to winning a gold medal at a senior pro mixed event at the PPA in Orlando this last weekend. And I thought it'd be interesting to share with you some of my history in pickleball, some of my journey in pickleball, and we can take some lessons from there, I think, or some kernels from there that you can apply to your own pickleball game. So I'm going to just go through it in an order, and we'll see where we go with this. So when I started in the game like a lot of you. A friend of ours said, a friend of ours, Jill and mine, I should say, invited us to play pickleball. Now the invite was really more to Jill because at that time Charlotte was much more Jill's friend than my friend. They known each other longer. And so, I was with Jill. So when Jill said we're going to go play pickleball on Saturday, I'm like, okay, let's go play pickleball. To me, I thought at the time it was going to be a one and done activity where basically I'd go out there and bat the ball around a little bit. But what happened that day was fortunate for me, I think, in hindsight. What happened to me that day was there were some good players out there that day, including a gentleman named Steve Tallner, who was the pro at that facility teaching pickleball. And I got destroyed on the court, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like a fish out of water. I mean, I knew how to hit the ball because I played tennis, but I had no idea how to play pickleball. And so when we got done that day, I was interested. Now I was curious about the sport. So I said, I'm going to start learning how to play this sport. Started looking into paddles, bought a paddle, started playing. Jill played a little bit too, but not as much as I did at first. So went along playing some pickleball. At the time, Jill and I both were tennis players transitioning to pickleball, and we were the quintessential bangers. That's what we knew. We knew how to play tennis, and we knew how to hit the ball pretty good in tennis. So we transferred those skills over to pickleball. And, generally speaking, we could do okay at the local facilities. We did all right, and we were probably among the top players in those facilities simply because we were good tennis players. Now, what's important to note here is at that time, we were not pickleball players. We were doing well. We were winning games, but we were not pickleball players. And the eye-opening event, and I believe it was still at the end of 2015 happened when we were at the facility we were playing in that evening, and two gentlemen came in. They were traveling for the holidays, coming through the area, and they were looking for a game. And so the other players there looked at Jill and I and said, "Why don't you guys go face him?" Because they looked like serious. They looked like they knew what they were doing. So we step out on the court with them, and the match was over in no time, and we lost 11-0. Now it's easy to say. It would be easy to say, well, that, we failed, right? It was bad for us what happened. I would counter. I would say, no, it was actually, they did us the greatest favor they could have done for us. By beating us 11-0, what that did is it showed us that we had no idea what we were doing. We did not know how to play pickleball. These two gentlemen, it was a father and son, they played pickleball. They hit third shots. They moved forward to the non-volley zone line. We didn't know what to do. And they handcuffed us and made it impossible for us to beat them. Well, what did that do for us? That opened our eyes. And it said to us, you know what? There's more to this game than we've been thinking so far. And it made us explore the game further, go deeper into the game, and really start understanding how to play pickleball. So we start, learning how to play pickleball. We start this process. And what happens is as you start applying yourself to this game and start seeing the game differently and start opening your mind to it and just understanding better what's going on the pickleball court, all of a sudden you'll start seeing this increase in the pace of your learning. As the pieces of the puzzle start falling into place, your understanding of the game not just grows, it'll grow, but it'll grow exponentially faster. And I'll tell you a specific war story that'll help you understand it. So I'm understanding the game a little better. I'm starting to use the third shots. I'm starting to move forward to the MVZ and things like that. So I'm starting to see the game better. And I'm in a game, a specific game I remember very clearly with my friend Tom. And at that point, Tom and I were playing a lot of tournaments together and training together and things like that. And we're playing against our two friends, Tyson and Mon, two very good players from our area. And what was happening was every time that we hit our third shot, even though it was an okay third shot, it wasn't perfect, but it was a decent third shot. Mon and Tyson were basically passing us. So they were hitting these little pokes. They were poking the balls with the punch volley and passing us every time. And we just could never make it to the MVZ line. So we were very unproductive on the serve side. So I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, Tom, what happens if we hit the third shot, no matter how good it is, and only take 2 steps forward? And then let's hit the next shot, and then on the next shot, we'll move all the way in. So we're like, well, let's try it. So we did it one time. Hit the third shot. They poked it the same way they'd been poking it, but now, because we weren't rushing forward, right, which is what everybody's told, right, get up to the MVZ as fast as possible. But because we slowed our movement forward and we weren't just running up there, there was no more lane to pass us. There was no more easy passing shot for Mon and Tyson. So we were able to now hit the 5th shot and make it to the MVZ line. What happened in that game was we were down 2-7 when we started using that strategy, and we ended up coming back and winning that game. What that showed me was, okay, there's a different way of moving that is more constructive, as a more optimal way of moving that is different than the bad advice that we received. And when I say bad advice, I'm not suggesting any kind of nefarious reason, a nefarious motive by the players who share that information. They mean well. That's what they've learned, and that's what they're sharing with us. But there's a better way. But I didn't know that right at the time until I had this light bulb moment. And what's happened since then, and even before then, is that I've seen my knowledge of pickleball accelerate, right? Not just my knowledge increase, but the rate of my knowledge acquisition has accelerated. And the same can happen for you. As light bulbs start going on, as switches start getting flipped in your mind in terms of understanding the game, you'll start seeing it more and more and more, and eventually you're going to see the entire game as a whole piece. The other thing that happened after that was, I was playing. Since then I've been playing a lot more drilling, a lot more focus. I played more tournaments since then, and that's what's really made me more ready for the tough matches. That, and one thing that's really important is mental training. I cannot emphasize enough how important it for my game it has been the mental training journey that I've been on, the impetus behind it really has been my role as a pickleball instructor, my relationship with the game as an instructor. But I cannot convey to you enough how important it is to add a mental piece to your training so that you can really get yourself ready to play your best pickleball. So let's talk a little bit about the tournament. Right now, this is the gold medal day. And what I found that day was, we had some adversity during the day. We had some matches that we won one match 11-9, for instance, so that was a tight match. In the match before the gold medal match, so the end of the top bracket, we lost the first game. We were up in that game, but we lost it. We were up, I think, 8-2 or 8-3, ended up losing that game. Dave and Sehan did a great job of battling back and taking that game. But because Leslie and I are both seasoned players, we did not let that dissuade us, right? We did not let that derail our tournament. And we just got back to work. We got back to what we needed to do. We got back to basics, if you will. And this is something that is always a bit frustrating for me as an instructor, as a coach, trying to communicate and help other players. But what Leslie and I did that was so successful that tournament was focus on the basics, was to focus on fundamentals. We went back to, the way I refer to it is chapter 1 pickleball. We went back to chapter 1 pickleball. We executed the shots we needed to execute in that strategy, and we're able to come back and win the next 2 games. And a big part of that seasoning as well is the mental part that I mentioned, right? My mental journey has been, has changed me as a player. And things that might have derailed me before or lasted longer before don't derail me any longer. And you're going to hear a little bit more about this in the riff when I talk to you about the final game that we played and how that played out. But what I want you to take from this is that there is a whole world of learning available to you in pickleball, right? It is available to you, and you can learn for as long as you want to learn, but you can learn it. And let me reframe it from the other way, okay? So think about it in terms of a series of mountains, right, that are in front of you. And the way I think about it is every time that I've crested a mountain, I've gotten to the top of the mountain, it's great, you have a wonderful view and everything, but you know what I notice on the other side of that mountain? Another mountain, right? Another challenge. And then I can climb that mountain. When I get to the top of that mountain, enjoy the view, and it's amazing. But then you know what? There's still another mountain to climb. And what I want you to take away from this, what I want you to understand from this is that no matter what mountain you are currently on, whatever mountain you're currently climbing, you should know 2 things. Number 1, you can in fact climb the mountain. Now sometimes you're going to need some guidance, and that's okay, right? That's what CJ and I do. That's our jam, as we like to say. We enjoy helping players, guiding players up the mountain so that they can crest that mountain. But you can, in fact, climb the mountain. It is doable. Players before you have done it, and I guarantee that players after you will do it as well. You can climb the mountain should you so choose to do. You don't need to, but if you want to, you can climb it. And the second thing is, as long as you wish to continue climbing, meaning as long as you continue to be curious about the game, curious about growing as a pickleball player, there will always be another mountain waiting on the other side for you to climb. And so as you think about your pickleball journey, I wanted to share with you some of my experiences as a pickleball player, some of the steps along my path, including early failures that led to me wanting to grow more, it piqued my curiosity about the sport more and more, and allowed me to continue growing as a player. The light bulb moments that I've had in my path, along my journey, that have helped me grow. And then the mental part of the game, and focusing some on the mental part of the game, not just simply how to hit that third shot or how to hit that volley, but that mental part of the game. And in the riff, I think you'll really understand how the mental part of the game allowed us to walk away from the tournament with a gold medal. So if you want to know more about that, stay tuned for the riff. Most pickleball players spend a lot of time thinking about and comparing pickleball paddles. But you know what's more important than a pickleball paddle? Your shoes. Are you wearing the right kind of shoes to play pickleball in? If you're not sure, consider trying out shoes that are designed and made specifically for pickleball. Tyrol shoes are the shoes that CJ and I both wear out on the pickleball court. Remove any doubt about whether the shoes you're wearing are right for pickleball. Check out Tyrol shoes. I'll put a link in the show notes. Protect your most valuable asset out there, your body,
with the right shoes. Wear the right shoes and play longer on the court.
Let me frame out the game for you here, or the match for you here, so you understand how the mental toughness or the mental part was able to allow us to continue in the battle and to ultimately prevail in the gold medal match. So what happened was we were playing the same team that we had defeated in the end of the winners bracket, or the top bracket, Dave and Seihan, that we had won in 3 games against them. We were playing them again in the gold medal match. They did a great job of digging deep and making it back up to get a second chance at the gold medal. So we were playing them. We had won the first game reasonably handily. It wasn't an easy game, but it was 11-5 was the score. So it was we were in control of that game, I felt, the whole time. We started the second game. We started off down the second game. We fixed that and then gained control of the second game. So we were up 10-5, and it was 10-5-2. Obviously, we were serving. And there was Seihan hit an attack sort of a shot down the middle, and I countered it with a volley thinking this is over. And Dave was able to defend it, put it back on me, and I missed my volley, right? So we had 10-5-2. We had match point, gold medal point, and in my mind at the time, I thought I messed up, right? I had it on the paddle, so to speak, and I had missed the shot. So the next few shots in the game, so the side out, the next few points were not well played by me. I missed some shots that I would not normally miss, or there's not a great percentage chance I'm going to miss these shots. I usually hit them well, but I missed them. And what happened was that was some carryover, right? In the back of my mind, I'm still floating around there. 1 minute I have a gold medal, or Leslie and I win the gold medal, and we're done for the day, for the evening, and I get to go see my son, visit my son, and sleep for the night. Everything's fine. But instead, now I'm back in the trenches. We're fighting. We're scratching and clawing, so to speak. Metaphorically, I would say, to try and get out of this thing. And so we would lose some points, and in a flash, they're serving 11-10. So we went from 10-5 to winning shot on the paddle to now down 10-11. We're down 10-11. They're up 11-10. Looking at another game 3, and who knows, right? But what happens is both Leslie and myself are seasoned players. We've been playing for a long time. We've played many tournaments. We have a background in sports, in tennis, and in competition. So what we were able to do is we were able to steady the ship, right? We were able to do our business, take care of our business on the 11-10-2 point or rally, and side them out. And we got the ball back. And what players will do here is they'll often say, okay, let's win it now, or let's do this, or something like that. What we did is we said, you know what, let's get 1 point. Let's extend this, right? We can no longer win to 12. Leslie and I can no longer win to 12. So what we need to do is we need to make it a 13-point game, right? If they're going to beat us, they got to get to 13. Hopefully we win, but we want to get them to make it so it's a 13-point game. So what happened there is we get the 11, and then they side us out, and they get to 12. And so now we side them out, and it comes back to us again. So it's this back and forth, and you can imagine, again, having had the game on the paddle, and now having to continue fighting with this team of Dave and Seihan who just won't roll over. They won't give up, which is good. I commend them for that. But we just have to keep going. And so eventually, what happens is there's some back and forth. Eventually, Leslie and I are able to prevail. 14-12 is how the game ends. But the reason the game ends that way is because Leslie and I maintain our composure, maintain our focus, maintain our concentration with some gaps. I understand, because we went from 5-10 to us to 11-10 them, or sorry, 10-5 us to 11-10 them. But you have to be able to get out of that situation. You have to be able to pull yourself out of that situation. And the reason that what I would credit as being able to pull out of that situation is the mental training that I've done, the books that I've read, the thinking I've done about it, these podcasts that I make for you, is what allows us to, or myself personally, I should speak, I should focus on, right? Myself personally right now, allows me to get out of that situation where I was in a dark place in my mind. I'm able to pull myself out of that situation and and fight enough in order to claim the day. Same thing. Leslie does the same thing, but I'm telling you from my vantage point, mental training is what I can credit it to. And so what I advise you to do is if you want to improve, not just as a pickleball player, although that's certainly a big part of what you'll gain from doing this, but just as a person and as a relationship with pickleball, pick up some books on mental and emotional training. You can find the books at wearepickleball.com/resources. I'll link to it below. We have several books we recommend. Pick one of those books, whichever book calls out to you. I really like Coach Peter's book. I really like Tim Galloway's book. There's other books in there I like as well. But pick the book that most resonates with you. Start with that book. When you're done with that book, come back to the page and pick another book. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this week's podcast. That's a wrap for this week. We'll be back with you next week, hopefully with some more mental training for you, some more tips to get you some calmness on the court and some relaxation. If you have any stories that you'd like to share with us about your pickleball experience, last week we shared Mark's story with everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I think it's helpful to hear the stories of other players and how pickleball impacts their life. Feel free to send that to us at Tony@wearepickleball.com. And if everything looks copacetic, like something that we should share, we would love to be able to share it with our audience. In the email, if you do send it to us, please let us know that we can share it with in the podcast, and otherwise that helps us know that you're okay with us sharing it with other people. So, and always one other thing, if you enjoyed this podcast, rate and review it. It really helps us. If you haven't subscribed yet to Pickleball Therapy Podcast, that helps us as well. Hit that little plus sign. That'll help make sure that the computer system knows that you like the podcast, and it'll probably share it with more people. And if you enjoy the podcast, share it with your friends. Remember, if you enjoyed the podcast, they probably will too. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.